Hello, Helena. I'm Emily McVeigh, Executive Director of the United Way of the Lewis and Clark area. Thank you for joining us today for our United Way Partner Spotlight. Today with us are the Meals on Wheels volunteers and coordinator. We've got Karen and Bill and Amy and Linda, and they're going to tell us all about Meals on Wheels and it's Celebration Month. Tell us what you're celebrating this month.
Yes, we're celebrating volunteers everywhere. April is actually Global Volunteer Month, and we are at the end of National Volunteer Week. So it's an opportunity for us to celebrate the contributions of volunteers everywhere. Rocky couldn't do this Meals on Wheels program without the help of volunteers. We're close to 50 volunteers now with our program, 3 of whom are here with me today. And we are just so fortunate to have such an outstanding group of volunteers, give so generously of their time, their energy, their vehicles. And I was just thinking today, they don't always get to deliver in the sunshine. You know, it's rain or shine, and sometimes snow and sleet. So we are just so appreciative, and Volunteer Month is just kind of a nice time to focus on the contributions.
Yeah, that's great. So when did Rocky first start using volunteers, and what does that look like to be a volunteer at Rocky, or at least with Meals on Wheels?
I think the first handful of volunteers started in the fall of 2019. I think there were 3 or 4. I wasn't there then, but COVID happened and everything kind of was put on hold for a chunk of time. I think the 3 of you have been doing the volunteer work for over a year now, so it kind of picked up again in 2021. I started my job in April of 2021, and we just started picking up the pace again. So I think it started with just a handful in 2019, and now we're at right around 50 volunteers for Rocky's Meals on Wheels program.
That's great.
Yeah.
So for the volunteers, why did you decide to volunteer at Meals on Wheels at Rocky?
Well, for me, I was new to the Helena area, and I am sort of retired, not completely, but kind of. And so I had some more free time on my hands to do things that I'd always thought seemed very interesting and very something that would help me to be able to feel that I'm still serving the community or still have a purpose. And I'd always thought Meals on Wheels seemed fun, to go to people's houses and, you know, get to know a bunch of different people. So that's basically why, to kind of have a little bit of structure in my life and meet some people, which it's been amazing, both on the participant side and also on the other volunteer and the administration side. It's just a great way to stay involved and get to know your community.
Great. How about you guys?
Well, I retired in 2019, and on my list of things to do was to start doing some volunteer work, and I think Meals on Wheels was one of the first things I thought about. I've been aware of the program for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. I used to work as a dietitian years ago, so I've had friends that have worked in different types of elderly nutrition programs, and so I think that was kind of a draw. And, you know, I guess I'm kind of a foodie. I mean, the idea of, you know, serving a meal is like family, it's community. I mean, it's not only good, you know, it not only nourishes the folks for a third of their needs for the day, but it's also good just mental, emotional support. You know, everybody likes to eat, so yeah. I think that was how I decided to do it.
Yeah, I guess my experience is rather similar to that. I volunteered, I retired a little over 20 years ago. And since then, I've been looking for things that I could use to fill up my time, meaningful things, things that would help the community and maybe for personal enrichment. I've volunteered with AARP. I was on the Helena Citizens Council for a while. I went to Carroll and took classes for 4 years. And a couple of years ago, I was looking around and I had a lot of free time on my hand, and I said, well, I really need to find something that's worthwhile to do, something that's meaningful. And I saw an ad for Meals on Wheels volunteers, and I said, well, that sounds like something that I could do. And it has turned out to be a lot more than just something to fill up some time. It's very rewarding. I feel good every Thursday when after I get finished delivering meals. It just makes me feel good. I feel like that I've been a bright spot in somebody's day, bringing a meal to them. And, sharing a meal with somebody is something that's very important. I mean, you're giving more than just yourself to them. You're providing them with nourishment. A lot of the people that I deliver meals to, I get the feeling that it's more than just the highlight of their day. I mean, they really look forward to it.
That's true.
There are quite a few people on my route that, we stop and visit after I give them the meal, and they're waiting at the door for me when I show up with the meal.
Right, and sometimes they have stories to tell us about, like, oh, I've got to tell you, my daughter from North Carolina came to visit, and we did this and that, and oh, I hear you just got back from the Netherlands. Tell me about your trip. So it's really a back and forth. It's not just here we are, the volunteers, providing something to them. They provide, I would say, probably all of us would agree, equal gain for us as volunteers.
Absolutely,
right?
and I think the other thing I think that's really nice too is that we do provide a safety check for those folks that some folks don't want a lot. They just want you to wave, and that's okay. And a lot of I've perfected my wave, but I think one time I had a lady that didn't answer the door, so I called, and later on she thanked me for allowing this. Helps her to be able to stay independent because she's people are looking out for her. And I also want to say they look out for you too. I've had on those snowy icy days where I was kind of walking too fast. I had somebody say, slow down. so they look out for you too. So it really is kind of a two-way street, I think, in terms of the satisfaction not only that you derive from delivering a meal, but also having someone show their appreciation and care for you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of people yesterday on my route that recognized the fact that I had been gone for a couple of weeks. I was on vacation, and they wanted to know where I was, and they were glad to see me back.
It's true.
But it also serves as a way of doing a wellness check on some people. I mean, they're mostly elderly people, and I think they appreciate the fact that somebody's checking up on them.
So, do you guys have a favorite memory to share, or what do you get out of being volunteers personally in your lives? What's the one thing that you think of when you think about volunteering for Meals on Wheels?
I think there's a lot of immediate satisfaction. If you've worked, like I worked for years, and you don't always at your regular, job where you've spent all your time get that kind of satisfaction. It's like it's immediate. You just feel good at the end of your 2-hour shift. I think so. That's one thought. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that really hit me in a big way during the holiday season, one of the local churches had reached out to the Meal on Wheels program and donated goodie bags or gift bags.
Really nice ones.
Very nice ones. I mean, very nice. And so I was lucky enough to be doing the route that day when we handed them out. And there were 4 or 5 people on the route that literally came to tears, being remembered for the holidays, expressing that they were separated from their family and they didn't expect to have visits during the holiday, and just to have, they said me, which of course, wasn't me really, but that made me feel very good to remember them during the holidays. That was very, very special. So, good memory.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of really great things. What's a typical delivery day look like? How many hours do you work, and what's that look like for you guys?
It's about 2 hours. It depends on the size of the route and how
You
spread
all
out
three
it
do
is.
the same route, I'm thinking, right? You do all the same
6.
route.
I'm on number 6.
Yes.
Oh, really?
6 for the win.
Well, imagine that.
Route 6
6 for the win.
So I guess that's why it takes all 3 of us about 2 hours.
2 hours,
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some really nice people on that route.
For sure, yeah. So basically, we go to the center, and Miss Amy and team have everything all prepared for us. The hot meals are in a cooler, the milk is in a cold cooler with an ice, and then there's a fruit cup cooler or little box. So we just load all that into our car, as well as a list of all their names and their addresses, and we kind of double check if there's anybody new or how many food meals each person gets, and then off we go, right? And then at the end of the route, we return all the hardware basically back to the center.
Yeah, the only difference is that on the Thursday route, we also have a lot of frozen meals to deliver.
Frozen meals,
And
yes.
so it's interesting, especially interesting on a windy day when you're out trying to get things stuffed into the bag and the bag's trying to blow away. It
Yeah.
can,
Windy
it can get
days
kind
are
of
bad.
interesting then.
Those bags.
But the wintertime has its own unique problems.
Sure.
One little fun thing that we started a while ago was treating various dogs on the road, and it's become really a thing. Each little route has their thing of dog bones, and there's just certain people that have dogs, and when you knock on the door, that dog knows that it's Meals on Wheels time and they're going to get a biscuit. So we know all the dogs' names, and I feel like all the dogs know our names, but it's just added to the fun, and I think it's kind of an icebreaker for people. You know, it's another reason to open the door and have an interaction. It's fun.
And we
Well,
usually communicate anything in writing. We'll write notes on our list of anything
Right.
like,
We have to
Simon got his
follow
bone, that kind of thing. So, but if there's, somebody who didn't answer the door, or we called and we didn't hear, we convey that information usually in writing. I did want to share too, there's one lady that made explicitly clear that please do not use my doorbell and knock instead, because it's really loud and it would scare her. So a few months after I started, I noticed that the doorbell had been removed. So she decided that was the way
Yes.
to deal with that. And that might not have been any Meals on Wheels folks. I'm sure it wasn't. It was probably other people that were abusing her doorbell.
But we try to be really, we try to deliver whatever anybody wants. We try to be, to do specifically how they want things, done when we deliver meals, and we try really hard to do that. And then the follow-up as well, because it is, more than a meal. It's that safety check, and we take that very, we take that to heart, and we will follow up and make sure that people are okay. And they count on us to do that, so
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, it always bothers me when nobody answers the door.
Right.
I know,
Yeah.
yes.
And I'll
Yeah.
call them on the phone, and most of them don't have voicemail set up,
Right, for
Right.
sure.
or their phone just rings. And so it's comforting to know that, you try what you can to reach out to them. And if you can't, then you write a note, and then when we get back to Rocky, there's somebody there that will follow up with and make sure that there's no health issues or anything that would cause problems.
Yep.
But the pet food is an interesting thing. It really helps to bond with the client that
Yeah.
you bring the food to. I mean, if
It's their
there's one lady
companion.
that I park close to her door, and she's always her dog comes out first. I give the dog some treats, and then she always makes a comment about the fact that my dog is in the back and he's riding shotgun while I'm delivering food.
Cute.
And so it's a way of bonding with the client.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And that's where, a lot of people say Meals on Wheels is more than just a meal, and you guys have talked about that. Is there anything else you guys want to share about what that means to you, or?
Well, it's more than a meal for the participants, for sure, but it's also more than delivering a meal for us. And I do want to give big commendations to Rocky and to Amy in particular for her and all of Rocky's efforts in recognizing us as volunteers. All of us have worked in various places many years, as I'm sure the viewer could tell, but just the level of acknowledgement and appreciation and recognition and being seen and heard that I feel as a volunteer is way more than a meal, way more than just a normal volunteer experience. So I'm very grateful for that.
Good.
Great. So anything else we missed? And then let us know if somebody's interested in volunteering at Meals on Wheels or at Rocky, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in volunteering, you can also be a substitute driver, and we are actually looking at adding another component to our program where people will be coming in and helping to pack meals. We're just kind
Oh.
of starting that. So if you're interested in any of those things, let us know. You can call Rocky, I think it's 447-1680. Or if you're interested in Meals on Wheels, if you want to receive Meals on Wheels, you can call that same number and we'll get you set up.
Yeah, and you're also posted on Volunteer Helena, just
Yes.
a United Way site, and you can find that Meals on Wheels information there, volunteerhelena.org. Yeah, good point. If you're interested in receiving Meals on Wheels, you would also call that main
Yes.
line at Rocky and go ahead and get signed
We
up
can
that
set you
way.
up real quick. Yep.
All right. Anything else to cover before we sign
So,
off?
happy April Volunteer Month.
Yes, thank you so much to all the volunteers at Rocky and everywhere else. It's so great
Thank
to have
you.
you guys. Thank you, Helena, for joining us. We'll see you again next week.